It's 3:55 a.m. I'm Mike.
I'm Kyle.
And I'm Erin.
And tonight on the Sleepy Nerds podcast, we discover that I'm not funny.
Nope.
Hi guys.
Sir.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Tonight, we are going to be talking about our best and worst movie theater experiences, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just had to clarify because I'm an idiot and might have forgotten. But whatever. So who wants to start?
I want to start by saying I feel like it was hard to come up with good movie theater experiences.
I agree.
Both because we're all negative people and we view everything as terrible.
Well,
But also because the positive experiences don't really stick out. I'm sure there have been a lot of times I went to the movies and it was a good experience just because everyone was into it and it was.
Or I feel like a good movie going experience is like you see the movie through its entirety and you have somewhat decent seats.
Right.
I feel like I'm sure there's no correlation between age and the enjoyment of movies, but I feel like a good theater going experience to me now is when I walk into a theater and I'm the only person. I'm good.
I think there's something to be said for going, opening night or just to a really popular show and the theater is full and everyone is really into it. But it's also thoroughly enjoyable.
I used to agree with that, but I have a story that one of my experiences is about that.
Go for it.
Well, why don't you start us off then?
Sure.
Was it Force Awakens?
No, it's not. This is a horrible experience.
Didn't we?
Okay.
We
all saw it
together.
And that was
Anyway.
beautiful. Anyway, so for a shitty experience, for my sister's birthday, we decided to go to the movies because there's nothing else to do. It was Friday.
Sure.
And
what else are you going to do on a Friday?
Nothing. And Insidious 2 was opening.
Duh, Erin.
So we went to opening night of Insidious 2, and I used to love seeing horror movies in theaters opening nights because the energy of the crowd, even if it was a bad horror movie, the energy of a bunch of people around you being scared made you scared, and it was kind of this shared fun experience. Mm-hmm. So Insidious 2, we sit down. I think there was 5 or 6 of us all went, and the theater was packed, and it was incredibly loud in the theater. And for some reason, a lot of people were dressed like they were going to a nightclub, but ended up at the movie theater instead.
Perhaps because it was a Friday night?
Possibly, but why were they at the theater then?
Maybe they're going to the club afterwards.
Right,
maybe,
they were waiting until...
Or maybe they just dropped some E and came back to the club.
Maybe.
Dropped some E.
I don't
Speaking
know.
of advanced aging.
Maybe they were into the drugs, Kyle. The drugs.
So, there's this group of eight girls in front of the movie theater screen taking pictures in front of that.
Ugh.
And people screaming and shouting at each other and throwing shit across the theater. I'm like, all right, well, once the movie starts, this will die down. Mm-hmm. So the trailers start, still talking. Mm-hmm. People talking next to me at full volume.
Sure.
As if they were at a monster truck rally. And they talk through all that. People are still in front of the movie theater screen, taking pictures in front of it as the trailers are playing.
That seems like a weird thing to do.
People are on their cell phones. People are playing YouTube videos at full volume.
Ugh.
Oh, God.
All around us. So the trailer's finished. I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe now people will be quiet. And they're not.
Sure.
People are talking full volume to the movie.
That's obnoxious.
So 5 minutes in, the movie stops. Mm-hmm. And a poor employee comes in.
Is he 17 years old and covered in pimples?
Probably.
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
I think he was an assistant manager or something, but
okay.
a young guy comes in and says, listen, everyone, you're at a movie theater. You're not at a nightclub.
Sure.
He's like, you all have to respect each other's space and privacy and watch the movie. That's what you're here for. You're not here to socialize.
And shut the fuck up.
Not here for your cell phone. He's very polite. Mm-hmm.
He's like, politely said, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like, if you don't do that, we will escort you out. Mm-hmm. No second chance. And a woman stands up and goes, shut the fuck up. And everyone cheers for her.
Ugh.
And then someone threw a full soda
Oh
over
God.
my head
Oh my God.
at the person in front of us.
Ugh.
And we all got up and got the fuck out of that theater. And I think we just ended up going to eat at like a 24/7 like restaurant instead.
Jeez.
Did you get your money back?
I was just gonna ask that.
Yes, we got our money back.
Okay, good.
There was a line of maybe 40 people waiting to get their money back.
Jeez, that's terrible. I've never had anything like that obnoxious. That said, I absolutely talk through movies, but not at full volume. I make snide remarks through the entire movie to whoever I'm with, and I admit that I'm a bad person. But my commentary is so hilarious, and everyone needs to hear it. Everyone doesn't need to hear it, like the person next to me needs to hear it.
The only time I talk during a movie, and when I do, it's a whisper, is when I have to, most likely if it's a comic book movie, I have to explain something to somebody that doesn't understand the comic book. Most of the time, it's not that she doesn't, it's my fiance most of the time, but it's not that she doesn't understand. Like, something will happen and I'll get excited about it and she'll give me like a look like, what is wrong with you? Like, are you having a stroke? Like, no, I'm just excited to see this one thing that is like, that only comic book fans would understand. But when I do, I go up close to her ear and like whisper so I don't annoy anybody else.
Except for her.
Well, some behind the scenes know how.
I always whisper.
Mike's fiance is also our editor. It'd be great if she was really mad at you telling the story and she just pitched your voice up gradually the entire episode.
I was gonna say, what if she actually did find it really annoying when he explained things to her and the note on this episode is just Mike talks about how he's an asshole when we go to see comic book movies together.
But I hope he just at the end of the episode he sounds like what is it, Judge Doom from Roger Rabbit?
Just blew out the audio.
Sorry. Speaking of movies getting ruined, I guess that's the entire topic, but specifically with things being explained, that reminds me of just a very short one. It's the movie Red Eye, which I actually really like, with Cillian Murphy. Is it Cillian or Cillian? I always thought it was Cillian, and then I hear people say Cillian.
I think Cillian.
I care. His eyes are like pierce my soul. Anyway, so I was seeing Red Eye with Cillian Murphy in theaters, and I was in high school, and I was with two of my friends, and one of them had already seen the movie, and one hadn't, and the one who hadn't was sitting next to me, and at like this very tense moment, spoilers by the way for like a 10-year-old movie, she's gripping a pen she took from someone. They're on an airplane and they've landed and she's gripping this pen in her hand, and I go to my friend who hasn't seen the movie, I go, oh my God, what's she gonna do with that pen? And she goes, she's gonna stab him in the neck. And I was like, what? I thought she was sort of joking, and I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, our other friend told me. I was like, that wasn't like a sincere question I wanted answered. That was just like, it was a tense moment, and I was like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? And she is just like, oh yeah, this big climactic moment, and then Cillian Murphy got stabbed in the neck with a pen, and the girl ran off.
It's like, God.
It was like, other than that, it was a great movie going experience. But that moment, I was like, I hate both of you right now.
I hate people that do that. That like intentionally spoil something. Like they know that somebody hasn't seen it, and then they're like, oh yeah, this person dies.
Yeah, right.
It's like, oh, thanks. Now I have no reason to see it.
It really is like, there's no redemption.
That's like if you never saw The Sixth Sense. And then like somebody comes and tells you like Bruce Willis was dead the whole time.
Yeah,
it's like fuck.
That was not a theater going experience, but I was at the mall recently in a story. It was like this woman just walked in to where I was and loudly says to our friend, spoilers for Spider-Man: Homecoming, I guess.
It's fine.
Fuck off.
Like
if you haven't seen it,
yeah,
whatever. No one cares. It's on DVD. It's on Blu-ray now. You've already bootlegged it. A woman walks in and goes, wait, so Michael Keaton is the love interest's dad? And I'm like, there's no conversation you were having. She's just walking into places saying that phrase. Like, no conversation led her there.
Why? Like, why? What's the next?
I was with Kyle at the time. He was so mad. I was like on the other side of the room and didn't hear this at all. And so I was just like looked up and see Kyle like storm across the room, looking furious towards us, and was like, "Well, I just got Spider-Man spoiled for me."
But didn't you see the movie already?
No, we saw it like...
It was 2 days before we saw it, actually.
Oh, okay.
And because we saw it in theaters, and when they revealed that, people in the audience audibly gasped, and it would have been awesome.
Yep.
So fuck you, British lady at the mall.
Didn't we saw that together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 2 days later, and Kyle just leaned over and went, and that's what that lady at the mall spoiled for me.
Oh, man. Well, I kind of did that to you by accident when Guardians of the Galaxy 2 came out. Yeah, well, it was before any of us had seen the movie. It was before it even came out. But they had said, like, who some of the cameos were going to be. And they had publicized it pretty hard. And I didn't realize that you were...
realize you're, like, victim blaming me now, right? You're like,
no.
Like, you should have known this information already, but,
Listen,
so it's really not my fault.
With the amount
no
of, like...
means no spoilers.
Well, that's the thing. He didn't say no. Anyway, with the amount of stuff, like, related to comic book movies that we read, because it's just who we are and what we do, I had figured that you probably would have seen it. And then I was like, oh, yeah, did you know that Sylvester Stallone was going to be in the movie? They didn't say who he was, but he's going to be in there. And you're like, well, I was avoiding that. Thanks. I'm like, I was
specifically
so
avoiding knowing that Sylvester Stallone was going to be in Guardians.
It wasn't him that was right. I knew he was in it. It was Michael Rosenbaum.
Yeah.
Because I think, like, as soon as you told me that, I was able to kind of, like, figure out, like, who he would play. Then I'm like, oh, all the original Guardians are going to be in there.
Well, I didn't even know that when I didn't know that until after I saw it. But, like, I knew that Stallone was in it.
Yeah.
I just didn't know who or what he was going to be. So, but, yeah. But no, like, people that actively try to, like, I didn't mean to spoil that. But, like,
I think,
people
like,
that
press
actively...
release stuff is kind of, like, dicey before a movie comes out. Because that is, like, I just try and avoid, like, all, like, trailers and anything before movies now because they inevitably spoil things. Yeah. But at the same time, it is, like, if someone's like, oh... you know, so-and-so is in this movie, even though they died in the last one. You're like, all right, well, okay.
We really veered off course. So theater
going
experience,
like I kind of want to get my good ones out of the way just because they're so few. I feel what makes a good movie-going experience, even if for you guys you don't like the big crowds, even if the energy's up and everything. But
because I hate people.
I also hate people, but sitting in a dark room where I don't have to interact with them and we can just enjoy things together without having to talk is okay.
I don't like being in proximity of people. So if, like, there's a stranger on one side of me, like, right next, we're fighting for arm space, I'm like, this isn't ideal for me. So
that's why you assert dominance right away. Like, you just pee on the seat as soon as you get to the theater.
Anyway.
Mine. Sorry, go on.
So I think some of the best experiences I've had were going to not like a traditional movie release, but some kind of special event in theaters. Like I've seen some Riff Tracks Live that went to theaters. I saw when the Doctor Who 50th anniversary like movie they put out, that I went to go see that with like my mom and my friend, and it is like when you're going into a movie and everyone's going to be super into it like that. Like even if you go to see the next Avengers movie opening night, well, not opening night probably, but after first weekend, it's like there are going to be some people there who are super into it. There are going to be people there who are into the movies. There are going to be people there who got dragged there by someone. But going to just be like, we are all incredibly into Doctor Who and really want to see this and are going to understand every, like in reference in the movie is like, it's fun, even though you're not totally interacting. And the other one I was thinking of, well, do you want to do someone else?
Well, I was going to bounce off that. Like,
okay, go ahead.
I don't hate opening night crowds. I think it just depends on the movie.
Sure.
For horror movies, I said I used to love it, but now like they've kind of... There's this whole wave of PG-13 horror films for like 10 years because they really wanted those like teenage dollars.
Yeah.
And, people just drop their shitty kids off at the mall, then they go into a theater to like make out and text on their phone.
Sure.
Then I give a shit about the movie. And that's kind of like ruined it for me lately. But...
Well, I mean, that's my biggest problem with going on opening night is you most likely just have huge crowds of people that are there with groups of friends to socialize and they don't care. Like they'll be on their phone or they'll be talking the whole time. Like that's why I try to avoid going like the first week.
But like I said, I agree with Erin. We're like, we also have Force Awakens together, and like Force Awakens is one of like the best theatrical experiences I've ever had.
Yeah.
Just because it was this room, it was a theater full of people. Like every screen in that theater was playing Force Awakens at the time.
Yeah.
Except for the one that was playing the Alvin and the Chipmunks movie.
I think that was a rare case though, just because people were so excited to see that, like a new Star Wars movie again, that everybody was just laser focused. But
I remember like that theater being like silent.
Yeah.
Before the opening crawl came up.
Yeah.
Like I openly wept when the opening titles came
I'm
up.
pretty sure you did.
It's true. He did.
But I was sitting
remember.
several seats away from you, I think. So
I wept. I cried. I had a tear. Yes, I was so excited.
But still, there are other like opening night experiences where people are just assholes.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Just
they're there on a
just
Friday.
too,
well, wasn't it also Force Awakens where we encountered like the super high guy in the lobby afterwards?
Yes.
Or was that something else?
No, that was Force Awakens where the guy, I don't know why, but he introduced himself as one of the Ramones. And just kept talking to me.
Yeah, he was just like super intently talking to you, like just gibberish. And
I feel like you guys like thought I knew him.
I think I was like wondering if you knew him just because he came up and approached you like he knew you.
That's what I thought.
And
too.
we were all just like standing there like super uncomfortably.
Kyle
like,
knows people.
even if he did know him, it was like super uncomfortable.
Yeah. It was super uncomfortable.
and then you, I think, told him to fuck off. And no, you told him you didn't care what he was talking about. And he was like one of those crazy high people who had the air of like, I could like pull out a blade at any minute. And like he was just like super like unhinged seeming. And Kyle's like, yeah, I wasn't listening to anything you said and I don't really care. And we were just like,
my wife was like, you're really rude to him. I'm like, he was rude to me.
I mean, my problem wasn't the rudeness. My problem was like fear for my life.
He was rude to me by coming up to me and thinking I gave a shit about what he had to say.
I digress. Force Awakens was a great theatrical experience.
I'm just saying, like, there's the good and the bad, but like, if the good outweighs it, you can sort of take some of the like, people were being shitty in the theater or whatever.
I teared up only twice, like, in two movies. One was Force Awakens with the opening crawl, and the other one was in fucking Creed. Where they get
No, I still haven't seen it, but I don't care.
Okay, they give Rocky cancer. So I turned to my wife and I'm like, if they give Rocky cancer and kill Han Solo within like this amount of time from each other, I'm gonna be fucking furious. And they did.
Hey Kyle, quick question: did you cry at like either of your kids' births?
Yes.
Okay.
Gotta.
I just had to check. Just like I teared up during this movie, and I teared up during this movie. Wedding day.
In the immortal words of Philip Seymour Hoffman, strong men cry too.
I'm totally okay with men crying. I just wanted to have a quick gauge of your personality and like priorities.
Anyway, for me, I think one of the earliest good memories, I guess, going to a theater. It wasn't even like a good movie. We went to go see Attack of the Clones, but like I mean, I was a kid.
Yeah.
I didn't know any better. But that moment that Yoda showed up and started fighting with Count Dooku and was like bouncing off the walls, everybody's like cheering and freaking out. I'm like, this is cool.
Like, everyone's cheering and freaking out, and Mike's just like totally fucking cool as a cucumber over here. He's like, this is cool.
Yeah.
I was a kid. I was a kid. Like I was.
Yeah, you should have been freaking out.
I was trying to watch the movie. I wanted to see Yoda fight somebody twice his size. I didn't want to be like jumping up and cheering because then I would miss it.
Speaking of Star Wars movies as a kid, I went to see Phantom Menace when I was like, I think 11. And it was not the first time I saw it. It was one of the subsequent in-theater viewings. I had like a cold, and so I was coughing, and a guy fucking turned around and yelled at me in the middle of the movie and said I was ruining the movie, and people were like moving to not be sitting because I was coughing too loudly.
Sure.
I was like...
You're ruining Phantom Menace.
And yeah, especially now looking back on that is like, oh, I'm sorry I interrupted that otherwise stellar movie.
Do you remember when they re-released Phantom Menace in 3D in theaters?
I remember that they were supposed to release all 6, and then they stopped after that one.
I went with a bunch of friends to go see it in 3D. I'm like, this will be fun. It's Star Wars in theaters. I feel the first 10 minutes of that movie, everyone in the theater looked at the person next to them. They're like, what'd we do? Oh, no.
God, what have we done?
I still have those 3D glasses just because it had Darth Maul on them.
Yeah.
Nice.
But
I returned mine because I'm not a criminal.
They were special edition ones that you got to keep.
Well, I stole mine from a basket.
No, I had a pretty bad one recently. I don't remember what we went to see, but there weren't a lot of people in the theater. And so we got pretty good seats, like up towards the top, like right in the middle. And then all of a sudden, like, I get hit with something. It's like a piece of candy. I'm like, what the fuck? And I look back, and there's these 3 kids a couple of rows back. And there's people behind us, in between us and the kids. And like a couple minutes later, like the trailers are still running. The woman behind me stands up and turns around and yells at the kids behind her. I'm like, all right, whatever, no big deal. And then my fiance gets hit with a piece of candy. I snapped. I got up out of my seat, ran up to their row, and I fucking screamed at these kids. I'm like, if you don't cut the shit, I'm going to kick all of your asses right here.
That's the story of how Mike beat up some kids.
They're like, sir, I don't know why you're yelling at us. I'm like, you shut the fuck up. You know what you did. Don't do it again. And then there was just silence. I went back to my seat. And then I saw somebody leave, didn't think anything of it. And then sure enough, a theater employee comes in and grabs the kids and brings them out. I'm like, thank God. I guess they kept throwing candy and somebody went to go complain. And I'm like,
I was waiting for the twist ending where it was actually the woman behind you, like throwing candy, and
No.
she's like, "Oh, you damn kids!"
no, because like
criminal mastermind.
she was only like a row behind, and it
Okay.
kind of like arced.
Yeah.
So there's like the physics weren't there.
Yeah.
But
See,
I
that's
was
like,
pulling a Sherlock.
He's like, I drew
Yeah.
a schematic out, so I knew who to
like,
yell
with
at.
the trajectory of
Yeah,
this bunch
I
of crunch.
I pulled the Sherlock. I'm like, it's physically impossible for her to throw it in this way and it land here. It had to be them back
Well,
there.
do you know they banked it off one of the light fixtures on the wall?
It's like the JFK assassination. Back and to the left.
Right.
Speaking of movies that no one saw in theaters,
JFK?
yeah. No, I went on my honeymoon. My wife and I went to go see Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield,
1 or 2.
the first one.
Okay. Not as bad. I see.
Still pretty bad,
Still
but not
pretty
as
bad.
bad
Yeah,
as the
right.
second one.
We didn't know it was gonna happen eventually, so in hindsight. So we went to this lovely movie theater in downtown Disney,
Okay.
and they have a really nice theater there.
They do
They're
have-
like a huge theater.
The one where you get like served full food. The different one. Yeah, I love it in the theater.
Which I found out recently, 2 separate theaters. They have like the food serving one
Yeah,
and then like the normal
we weren't
pleb
we
one.
were in the normal part.
Yeah, so
but it's
no,
like a
that's
huge
right.
theater.
Okay. Anyway.
We were 2 of 4 people in there.
Okay.
And I knew the other 2 people were in there because they sat in our row, 4 seats down from us. And maybe 20 minutes into the movie, the movie's boring, so you're like, your eye's gonna wander, like, oh, what else is in the theater? Lights, carpets, seats. Like, oh, a teenager blowing another teenager 4 seats down from me.
Were you already in like the back row of the theater or something?
We weren't even in the back row. We were like
Why would you? What is the rationale? Even if you're like a horny teenager, like, oh, I'm gonna go like get off in the theater with my girlfriend. Why would you not like go behind the only other people?
Maybe they
sitting
were
in the
in
theater?
that was like their
Scene.
thing.
Maybe.
Anyway.
15-year-old exhibitionist.
So
yeah.
like, not that I'm watching them, but I'm watching them, and then I'm like, I go, do you mind? Because that's all it comes, to like, you're like,
sure.
what do I say here?
Right.
So I'm like, do you mind? And the girl like looks up and she goes, we paid to be in here. And I'm like,
So did we.
well, all right.
You got me there. That's great.
So going back to your asserting dominance thing that you were advising Mike to do.
Did you go pee on them after that?
I was gonna say, did like you and your wife, your newlywed couple?
I couldn't argue with her logic. So, madam, proceed. I don't know.
I feel like we should just end there. None of our stories are gonna be that good.
In hindsight, if we like come up with something, I wish we like nudge my wife and be like, I guess Spider-Man isn't the only thing that blows in this theater, right? Sorry.
A brief 7 years
apologize for
later,
that
you
joke,
come
yeah.
up with that joke.
Yeah.
Man, the only place I can go from that is back to Star Wars.
I was gonna say, how couldn't anybody top that?
I definitely can't top that, but we have a lot of weird, weirdly, we have a lot of weird Star Wars theater viewing
Say
experience.
weird 5 more times.
Shut up. Weird. So I was seeing Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith in theaters, and it wasn't like a packed theater, but there were I don't know, maybe 30 people in there. There was a lady sitting like 2 seats away from me with like no one between us, who must have never seen a Star Wars movie. This is the only explanation I can come up with. She'd never seen a Star Wars movie before and was totally unfamiliar with the concept of Yoda, because every time Yoda had a line, she thought it was the funniest shit in the universe.
That little green man's talking.
Yeah, it was like loud, obnoxious laughing. And I don't like to like give people shit for laughing, but not comedic moments, just anything Yoda would say. It could be like, all the younglings are dead. I guess that was 2, wasn't it?
No, that was 3.
Oh, it was 3.
Yep.
Yeah, and she was like, sorry for blowing it down. It was
goddamn
the worst throughout the entire movie. Just anything he said, to the point I was almost at a "do you mind" point, because I was like, it was just baffling. It was like, what is going on with you?
Like, you don't want to yell at people for laughing at the movie, but
yeah.
But like in that,
I saw Paul in theaters.
Okay, so no one was laughing.
Yeah, there was one guy from the opening credits, fucking laughing his ass off the entire movie. Every line killed him.
Yeah.
No one else in theater laughing. It bordered on performance art.
Did you like that movie?
Paul? It was okay. It was one of those deals where it was like,
I enjoyed it. I thought
it was all right. I feel it was supposed to be an Edgar Wright movie at one point. And I just like watching the movie. I'm like, man, I really wish like all the Edgar Wright stuff that would have been in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like Simon Pegg. Nick, what's his name?
Frost.
Nick Frost. I like Nick Frost. I like them together. I like Kristen Wiig was weird in the movie.
It was.
She's hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
Like Seth Rogen as Paul's kind of whatever. Like
It had a lot of cool like nods to like classic sci-fi stuff, I thought.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it.
Jason Bateman's in the movie, right? I like Jason Bateman.
Yeah, he played the secret agent that he made it seem like he was trying to capture Paul, but really he's the one who released him.
Yeah.
Because he they hooked up. Paul hooked him up with his wife or whatever. Yeah.
I tried to go see that movie. They had an advanced screening at FSU while I was in college. And it was at like the student theater on campus that was free to get into. And the line, like we went, I think, an hour and a half before it started. And the line was out the theater, down the block, like around the building. And we were like, we don't want to wait in this line to see it. And there were several. I saw Rocky Horror there, and I waited ages and ages. And I saw, I did not see, but I waited in line to see House, the Japanese horror movie. And they put us in the overflow theater. And then my 2 friends who came with me were so high that they got freaked out and insisted that we leave 5 minutes into it. So
yeah, it'll happen.
I did not see Paul or House.
House is a movie where a man sneezes and turns into a pile of bananas. So like,
I wanted to see it really bad.
What?
House is great.
I really wanted to see it.
I feel
Anyway.
Nope.
Good movie experience. I went to go see, not such a good movie. I went to see Star Trek Into Darkness by myself. It was like towards the end of its theater run, and I could not get a single person to go with me. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I just grabbed my keys and my wallet. I'm like, see you later. I'm going to the movies. Drove to the movie theater. There were like 2 other people in there. I sat at the back and I just watched it and I'm like, this was a waste. It was good because, there was nobody else there.
Yeah.
And like,
sure, your ideal theater experience.
Yeah, I was by myself.
I saw Star Trek Into Darkness on Dome IMAX. And my anxiety the entire time. We sat.
No, Benedict Cumberbatch's face was not meant to be viewed that close.
No.
Say, how nauseous did you get?
Nothing was meant to be viewed that close.
Yeah.
I think we were like close enough. I feel like you like reach up and like softly brush Chris Pine's cheek on the screen.
That sounds fantastic.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. It was the 4D experience. Yeah.
Are you saying this is bad?
My anxiety was so horrible during that entire movie.
But were you not reassured by reaching out and gently touching Chris Pine's face?
No, because his face was 70 feet tall in my face.
And spread out. Like,
it was a very like Rick and Morty, like show me what you got experience. I don't know.
another weird like local note. Is that theater torn down? No, that Mosey's torn down.
Probably, yeah.
They tore down Mosey?
Yeah, they closed it down. They were going to.
It's no longer there, yeah.
They're going to move it, but they just like shut it down. I'm not sure if they're reopening.
They're moving it downtown, I think.
When did this happen?
Semi-recently, like a month ago.
A month ago, about.
Yeah.
Huh. First time hearing of it.
The IMAX Dome Theater is like the main reason to go there, though. Like that theater's great.
But
if you don't have horrible anxiety about Chris Pine's face.
Vanessa and I had our first date at Mosey when they had the Mythbusters exhibit.
Aww.
It was pretty cool.
I went there many times as a kid, mostly on class trips. Well, not mostly on class trips, but on a lot of class trips.
Exclusively on class trips.
I did like a summer camp there. Anyway, we're like very off topic on a weird local off topic that no one cares about.
Recently, this was probably the worst one recently. We went to go see Wonder Woman the Thursday it premiered, and we got there a little late, and we had to sit in the front row.
Ooh.
Like the absolute front row.
Yeah. I have a terrible front row story after this.
Me too.
I got nauseous. My fiance got nauseous. My brother got nauseous. His fiance got nauseous. It was just a bad experience.
The story ends. It's like there was a carbon leak in the theater.
I also actually got sick while watching Wonder Woman, but it was because I had food poisoning and just got like horribly sick.
Especially like that scene with towards the end when she's riding the horse through the woods. Like everything was pretty up that close. Everything was pretty blurry as it is. But that scene where she's on the horse running through the woods and through the field and stuff like that. Oh God, the motion blur was just like it was making me dizzy. Like I had to look away. Like, oh God.
Being like sick and getting like motion sick from nausea in that theater made me realize how many cuts there are in the standard trailer. Because it was just like when the trailers came on, I was suddenly like, I am like going to be on the floor. I cannot handle this.
That was rough.
Yeah.
What's your front row story?
I'm going to tell mine first because yours is probably going to be better. Mine's just like super shitty and sad. I feel
like after the Spider-Man story, all of Kyle's stories are just going to be going escalating from there.
On Christmas Day, me and my family went to the theater. We went to see Phantom of the Opera, which Kyle just made a face. My favorite musical. My family, we're all Broadway people. So I think it was me, my dad, my brother, and sister. And so on Christmas Day, we go to the theater, and I was like 16 or so at the time. I was in high school, and they're like, "Okay, well, we're gonna get like popcorn. You go into the theater and try and get seats because like it's gonna be hard. There's a million people here." So I go in.
Were there really on Christmas Day?
Yep.
Huh.
Sorry,
go on.
It's fine. It was packed, and the only 4 seats together were in the front row, like the very front row. And so I was like, okay, well, like I'll go here and sit. And so I sat down, and I think I had my purse on the chair next to me, and then I was just sort of watching the seats. And this guy comes up, this guy and his friend come up and just sit down in like 2 of the seats. And I was like, hey, actually, my family's sitting here, like I'm saving these. And he just goes, oh, well, people around here. And I was like,
what?
What? And I was like, what is that? Like, I'm saving these. He's just like, I'm not getting up. So I was also at 16 and like could not confront people. So I was like, left the theater. There was nowhere else to sit. So I like went and stood outside the theater to wait for my family, like in tears, waiting to see this movie I wanted to see so badly. And we all just like had to sit in different places around the theater alone. It sucked. That guy was an asshole. I hope he dies.
But hey, I mean, yeah, you were separated, but were you still in the front row separated?
I think we were all over the place. So I don't remember where I ended up, but probably like some of us in the front, some of us like way off to the side.
I would rather be separated and have a decent seat than sit in the absolute front row again.
On Christmas with my family.
Well,
wanted to sit with them, but yeah.
Sidebar, movie theaters on Christmas and like Thanksgiving, super packed.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of friends that worked at theaters and they hate working the holidays. And it's because people are with their families and everything else is closed.
So they need something to do.
So they need something to do other than talk to their family who they don't want to talk to anymore because they've been with their family all week and they're fucking over them.
Yep.
So my front row story.
Well, I guess it's just a bizarre concept to me because like my family, we actually celebrate on the holidays. Like we do dinner and we Like on Christmas, we opened
Yeah,
presents.
we opened presents, and I think we had like a big lunch or something, and then went out to dinner, or maybe we like went out before our big dinner. I forget what it was.
Like if we're gonna watch a movie, we watch it at home all together, like something we have. Like on Christmas, we always watch Christmas Vacation
together. Wanted to see
together.
Phantom of the Opera. I think it came out like on Christmas Eve too, so I wanted to see Phantom of the Opera.
I come from a retail family. These holidays and their hours mean nothing to me.
What'd you say?
I said I come from a retail family.
Oh yeah.
These holidays mean nothing to me. Like Thanksgiving in my house is celebrated in a 1 hour time span between like noon and 1.
Good.
Between people coming and going for work. Yeah.
So my front row story. I dated this really horrible girl in high school.
Which one?
All of them. And she was being really quiet the entire day. And I'm like, well, what's going on? She's, nothing. Like, are you sure? I'm like, nothing. We had a date planned. We were going to go see Spider-Man 3.
Why are all your bad stories about Spider-Man? Spider-Man and Star Wars is all we have stories about.
And I have
it seems like Spider-Man is for bad, Star Wars is for good with Kyle.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Those were the opposite spectrums of my life. Star Wars and Spider-Man.
How good of a movie was this on a scale of Spider-Man to Star Wars?
Anyway, go on.
So
Sorry.
Spider-Man 3 opening night. And I know in like hindsight we know it's awful, but Spider-Man 3 was like a super high grossing movie.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, and Spider-Man 2 is great, so...
Every person went to go see that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We arrived late because I waited outside of her house for about 30 minutes for her to get ready. Then she like moped her way to the car.
You have to look good for a movie theater, come on.
She moped her way to the car.
Sure. And
she moped her way to the theater. And then we had to stand in the line for concessions because she wanted... So the entire day she was like not said anything to me. We sit down in the very front row, far right. We have the last 2 seats.
Sure.
So every time the exit door opens, we get that like nice little cube of light in the corner of the screen, right where we're sitting. Trailers play, lights go down, like the Sony logo comes up. She turns to me and goes, "We need to talk."
Oh, Kyle, I don't want to laugh at your pain, but...
This same girl, we went on a date to see Saw 2 with her father, who sat in between us.
Good. So could he not make it to Spider-Man 3, or?
Yeah, he was sick.
So what did you want to talk about?
She's like, I think things are going really well between us.
Venom is an okay character in this movie.
Did you leave the theater to have this talk, or did
Nope.
you become the people having a horrible conversation at regular volume in the movie theater?
The volume we had the conversation was, listen, we need to talk. It is where someone's whispering, but they're not really whispering, they're stage whispering.
Sure.
Through the entire movie.
It took you...
That movie is very long.
2.5 hours to break up with a girl.
I didn't break up with her after that. I broke up with her after we saw the Halloween remake in theaters.
What is this relationship?
Wait. If you guys weren't breaking up, like, what? Never mind.
Yeah.
I don't want to know.
I want to know like the incredibly personal details of like why the relationship was not working out that you need to discuss during Spider-Man 3.
I don't remember any of them.
Was it your lack of emo bangs?
It might have been.
I knew it.
She's like, why can't you be Thomas Hayden Church?
I've had that relationship with boyfriends before, and just like,
Why can't they be Thomas Hayden Church?
yeah, why aren't you Thomas Hayden Church?
Sideways just really did it for a lot of people.
He has ruined all others for me. Have you never had a girl say that to you, Mike?
Nope.
I feel like I could judge a lot of my relationships just based on movies I saw with them. Like my first serious high school girlfriend, we saw Alien vs. Predator, The Village, Catwoman. I'm trying to like any bad movie that came out like when I was a freshman in high school. Like I saw it in theaters, yeah. But I don't know, I used to see every movie in theaters. I worked at a video store for 8 years, and for 5 of those 8 years, we went to the theater every single Saturday. Yeah. We didn't miss a single Saturday. We saw everything, no matter what it was.
Clearly.
I had a lot of good experiences. And I also saw, what was that Channing Tatum fighting movie? I think it's just called Fighting. I don't know if he's in it or not.
What? What's that Channing Tatum fighting movie? Except Channing Tatum isn't in it, and it might not be about fighting.
There's a movie called Fighting. Wait, I'm being in it. One second.
Wasn't Tom Hardy in that?
No, that was Fighter.
No.
Yeah, so that was Fighter. That was
I don't know.
No, it was Warrior.
Warrior.
That was Joel Edgerton and Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Fighter was Christian Bale.
Was
Christian Bale and Mark
looking
Wahlberg.
at the entry for Fighter.
Aha!
Naming movies.
Fighting. Channing Tatum and Terrence Howard. We saw that in theaters.
What year was that? Why'd you put it away?
I don't know. 2009.
This is the first I'm hearing of that movie.
Yeah, it's
probably for the best.
It's a fighting movie, and there's a training montage that will last exactly 45 seconds. He does 4 push-ups and like shadow boxes, and he's like, "I'm good."
I'm ready to fight.
It sounds like a great training movie.
Man.
Well,
I thought that this was going to be like a touchy topic because like it's like good theater experiences are few and far between. Mm-hmm. But man,
it's really just been me bitching. Yeah.
I feel like again, my good experiences just go back to being with people I enjoyed them with, or having a good theater. So like,
it's really the bad ones that you remember.
Right, the bad ones stand out, for individual reasons. The good ones are just like, we had a good time. I saw, actually a couple. I saw Dark Knight Rises in theaters in Wales, and just like met 2 guys while we were standing in line waiting to get in, and like had a great conversation with them, and then sat with them, and like that was a lot of fun. I saw the third Harry Potter, which is my favorite book, probably least favorite movie, but we went and saw it, and we saw it in this like converted like actual theater, so it was super fancy. It was also in London.
That's pretty cool.
And they had a big like marquee thing that was like a giant Dementor on the front of the theater, and
That's
so
pretty
and
neat.
I was like 14 or something at the time, and was like, that was the coolest shit ever. Meanwhile, my dad was bitching the whole time because he was like, so we go to England and you want to see a movie, you want to go to a movie, like
It's Harry Potter.
something that you couldn't do
in
at home.
England.
Right, and
Like
it was
where
like
it's supposed to take place.
it had actually like, it wasn't opening weekend in England, but like it was when it was supposed to open in the US. So
Right.
I was like, I have to go see it.
Yeah.
And he was like super unimpressed, but I loved it.
Yeah.
So like those were like really cool, unique experiences, but there wasn't anything about like the actual being in the theater watching the movie.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I should have one positive experience. I saw the Muppet movie in theaters, like the newer one, the first Jason Segel film. Mm-hmm. And
Great movie.
yeah, it was an excellent movie. And I saw it in theaters at midnight, and it was nothing but like Muppet fans my age who were just like there to enjoy a Muppet movie.
Sure.
And we sat in theaters, and someone started playing Phenomena on a laptop. And the entire movie theater sang the entirety of Phenomena.
That sounds great.
It was
like
amazing.
a dream.
It was a spiritual experience.
I kind of felt that way when I went to go see the new Power Rangers movie.
Yeah.
We went like a week or 2 late, but like still the only people in the theater were people my age that grew up with Power Rangers. Are like, oh, I'm so excited to see this new version. I liked the movie. I thought it was pretty cool.
How surprised were you that that movie wasn't a complete piece of shit?
I was incredibly surprised. So I went to go see it with a friend who I knew from the comic book store, and we would talk about it pretty often. And like anytime they would like reveal something, I'm like, oh, this looks like garbage. This looks like total shit. Like when they revealed the suits, I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
When they started putting out like the toys, giving ideas of what like the Megazord was going to look like, I'm like, oh God, it looks like a shitty Transformer. And it still kind of did in the movie,
Yeah,
but
they're still
But
pretty
it was a
ugly.
fun,
But-
shitty Transformer.
but it could have been a lot worse. Like it was a cool new take on like something classic, like the fact that they made Zordon the original Red Ranger. Like that was really cool, and it explained like a lot that you didn't really get in like the old Power Ranger show. Like
It was a fun movie. Damn it, I should talk about this for the sequel episode. Power Rangers was fun. It will never get a sequel, and it's one of those like rare movies where it's like, man, this should. I want to see these characters.
don't think it
again.
will?
Oh, really?
No, it failed at box offices.
did it? I
Yeah.
thought it was a success.
No, it did.
I thought barely, but I thought
it was like barely a failure. And then they thought it was going to do like really, really well overseas, and no one gave a shit about it.
I still feel like it might, just because that guy's got money to throw at it.
Saban, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I hope it does. It would be cool to see where they go from there.
Yeah, I agree.
Introduce
I
the
liked it
Green
a lot.
Ranger and stuff like that. Because everybody that was involved wants to do more. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the kids because they want to work, but like, I don't know.
See, I thought you were going to say the opposite, where it's like what we said about Transformers movie is that it's like, oh, this was like really enjoyable and fun, but like a sequel might ruin it.
And it did. Every
Right.
sequel ruins it.
They planned 6 movies in this Power Rangers franchise.
Oh, yeah.
They had 6 of them planned out. They said like that the script's ready to go. It was like they're ready to film. They're going to do like
crazy.
one a year.
I really hope that they keep going.
I feel like even if they like made them direct to some streaming service, I'd be okay with it.
I feel like once they get like the Green Ranger in though, that will start. People will be like really drawn to it because that's the character that everybody likes, the Green/White Ranger. Like once they start getting into him, people will flock to it. But good movie experience for me was when I was just right after I graduated. I started college. I graduated high school. I started college pretty early, like in that summer, in between. Like when normal kids would have started high school or ended high school and started college.
Sure.
I started that summer in like some special summer program.
We get it, you're special.
Shut up. So I moved into the dorm, like, and that was the night that Transformers 2 was premiering. So I moved into the dorm. Well, I didn't know then. Moved into the dorm and found out that my new roommate was a big Transformers fan as well. So I'm like, well, I planned on going with a whole bunch of friends at midnight. Do you just want to come with us? So like, it was me, my new roommate, and then my other 2 roommates because we had like one of those suites with 2 separate bedrooms.
Yeah.
So like the 4 of us who had just met that afternoon, like,
Get a shitty movie to bond over.
yeah, let's just go hang. Well, we didn't know. Like I said, going into it,
Right.
we were still coming off of like the first one. Be like, yeah, the first one is cool.
Yeah,
Let's go see this new one.
And how did you walk out of the theater?
I
Just not making eye
My
contact.
new roommate fell asleep halfway through. I was like, oh God, what have I done?
I was hoping the movie, this story is going to end. You're like, it was a great experience. We're like, yeah, it was horrible. And my roommate killed himself. And then they gave me straight A's because that roommate thing. When your roommate dies, they pass you for the semester.
What's wrong with you?
Best movie going experience ever.
But it was, the movie was horrible, but it was just fun. Like, because like these people that I had just met that day, we all kind of found
a good sort of kismet.
Huh?
It's a good sort of kismet. Like you all like got to.
Yeah, like we all
be
like
Transformers fans,
we all like
sort
this
of.
one thing. We liked the first movie. We grew up with it, and we're like, okay, well, we just met. We were all going to see it at some point anyway. Let's just all go right now.
Yeah.
And then the movie was hot garbage, and
That was like your Stand By Me moment.
sure.
It was the equivalent of going to see a dead body.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Transformers was like.
Say, you guys want to go see a Transformers sequel?
Yeah, that was the one with Devastator's balls.
Yeah.
So
Was it? I thought that was the third one.
no,
That was
the
the
second
second
one.
one.
The third one.
The third one was with Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah, and they blew up Chicago.
Yeah, and there's no plot. That was when
Oh, that really sets it apart
That
from
was
the
when
others.
Ken Jeong for like 5 seconds.
I don't.
Incredibly racist.
I
Ken
saw
Jeong.
I saw the first 3 in theaters and like never since, and
Yeah.
so they all sort of blur together.
Like I told you guys earlier, and I'm gonna get into Transformers a little bit. I told you guys earlier I just watched the most recent one. I don't understand how they can, like, the world-ending events can just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I also don't understand how at the end of at the start of every movie, the government sees all Transformers as the bad guys. At the end of the movie, they realize that the Autobots are the good guys and the Decepticons are the bad guys. And then at the start of the next movie, the government hates all Transformers again. It's like, what the fuck happened?
Do you think between each movie there's just like a regime change in every single world government?
Flip-flopping politicians, man. You can't trust them.
They they just come in like, my predecessor thinks that Transformers are good. Well, not anymore.
I don't understand it. Like, at the end of the first Mark Wahlberg one, at the beginning of the first Mark Wahlberg one, the government was hunting all Transformers, Autobots or Decepticons. By the end of the first Mark Wahlberg one, the government had accepted the Autobots and was working with them again, and that was fine. At the start of the second Mark Wahlberg one, which is the 5th one, the government's hunting all Transformers again. There's a big poster plastered on a wall that with Optimus Prime's face, who's not even on the fucking planet, and says enemy. Like, what? They know that he left. They know that he, like, blasted off and left Earth. And they have his face plastered on a wall. It says, bad guy. And Mark Wahlberg is being hunted because he aids them. So, sorry. I had to go on a Transformers rant there for a second.
Couldn't get the sound effect up quick enough.
Sorry, you said Mark Wahlberg and AIDS, and I got hopeful for a second.
You just said Mark Wahlberg and my eyes glassed over and it wouldn't. My brain wouldn't accept any information after that.
It's just an odd choice. Like, they try to make him like he was from Texas. And
Did they?
Yeah.
Like a Bostonian Texan accent?
He was supposed to be an inventor from Texas in the fourth one.
That sounds awful.
Everything
about this sounds awful. I hate Mark Wahlberg. Let's never talk about Transformers again.
Isn't that like in the 90s where they'd have Arnold Schwarzenegger play a scientist in movies? Yeah. And they'd just put like glasses on him?
That's more believable than Mark Wahlberg as a Texan. Because he didn't change his accent in any way.
All I remember is that fucking movie where he gets the Optimus Prime and he like opens the car door and a fucking giant like bullet casing falls out. And
That's odd.
Shut the fuck up, Mark Wahlberg. God, I hate him.
My brain just won't process any information after we say Mark Wahlberg.
Even the dialogue in those movies is getting so bad.
What did I say? Mac Wahlberg.
Oh, you know, good duck. You're just like your father.
You ain't shit, duck.
Say hi to your mother for me. Anyway, I don't know how many. I lost track of how many times in this last movie Optimus Prime identified himself. It's like, I am Optimus Prime, and I am here to protect Earth. He's said it so many times.
I'm about to start the 5-minute timer, Mike, and you've already burned so much time.
I'm sorry. We'll go back to...
A segment we keep trying to introduce is 5-minute rants, which is just one of us gets on a rant and we only let them go for 5 minutes, but without interrupting, and then cut them off.
Every time Peter Cullen says, I'm Optimus Prime, he gets like $1 million.
I think they just recorded him the first time, and
just keep replaying
it. They just throw it in there.
They don't want to pay him to record
Peter
more
Cullen
lines,
died in 1993.
I'm serious. Like, I think that they just recorded him in the first, like, during the first movie saying it, and they just throw it in every couple. It's like,
totally buy that.
It's been 5 minutes. I am Optimus Prime. So we're going to move on to our next segment called No Fucking Way, where Kyle's going to describe 3 movies.
The Great Return of No Fucking Way.
Yeah, and Erin and I have to determine which one is real.
Not real. Wait. Are there 2 real and 1 fake?
2 real, 1 fake.
Okay, so we're trying to pick the fake.
So we're trying to pick the fake one.
Yes.
Last time it was Christopher Walken and someone owning dual pizzerias.
Yeah, we got it right last time.
We did get it right.
You did get it right. I was very bummed.
Well, I mean, that...
I still don't believe the one about the elf who, like, recruits the neo-Nazi.
The neo-Nazi elves with the Grizzly Adams.
I still don't fully believe
after seeing some of the movies I've seen recently...
Including Transformers.
Well, I mean, some of the like lower budget movies, like Father's Day and other stuff like that. Nothing Kyle says now will surprise me.
All right. First movie, Slaughterhouse Rock. A man visits Alcatraz prison after having a dream about all the people who died there. When he gets there, his brother is possessed by an evil cannibal demon. The ghost of a female heavy metal singer who was killed there tries to help the man fight the monster. 1988, starring Tony Basil and Nicholas Solozzi.
What was the name of that one?
Slaughterhouse Rock.
Sounds like a movie Kyle would own on Blu-ray.
Second film, Night of the Lepus.
Of the what?
Lepus.
I thought you said lupus. It's just a really somber film.
Cole Hillman's ranch is plagued with rabbits. Hillman enlists the help of college professor Roy Bennett to help him, and Bennett immediately injects the rabbits with hormones and genetically mutated blood. One of the subjects escapes, resulting in wolf-sized man-eating rabbits.
Wait, are you saying leapers?
No.
Lepus?
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
Lepus.
Lepus.
Hey,
Okay.
Lepus.
I don't know.
1972, Stuart Whitman, Janet Leigh.
I don't know who either of those people are.
Janet Leigh is Jamie Lee Curtis's mom.
Oh.
Yes.
Go on.
What year was that?
1972.
Okay.
Third film, Dead Tired. Martin is a struggling student working at a lab to make ends meet. But one night, while trying to impress the attractive new employee, he accidentally exposes himself to an experimental drug used to keep soldiers awake. Now, with unlimited stamina, Martin can be twice the man and student he was, but a deadly price. He's slowly transforming into a gross slug-like monster with an appetite for pituitary glands. 1994, Jane Jensen, Will Keenan.
I believed that one until you got to 1994.
It is a trauma movie.
A what?
Trauma. They did Sergeant Kabuki
Oh,
Man.
yeah.
They also did The Thingy.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well then, how could a great filmmaking company like that make such a terrible movie? What was that one called? Oh, wait.
Dead Tired.
Yeah.
What was okay?
Okay.
I don't know.
Dead Tired, Slaughterhouse Rock,
and Night of the Lepus.
Night of the
with the
Lepus.
with the were-rabbits.
Right. The wolf-sized were-rabbits.
Yeah. And Slaughterhouse Rock, Man Visits Alcatraz.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So by the time we get to the end, I've already forgotten.
I don't know.
Who was in the first one?
Tony Basil. She's saying this on Mickey.
I know who Tony Basil is. Who's the other person? I didn't know who they were.
No, she doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know who he is. Nicholas Saluzzi.
Okay. Is that just a name you made up?
Okay.
Is it like a one-person film? And you're like, that doesn't sound real, so.
I feel like Dead Tired might be fake.
I feel like it might be.
Just because
I feel like it might be the Lepus thing, because he doesn't know how to pronounce it. Wouldn't they say it in the film?
I don't think so.
No?
No.
What is the Lepus or Lepus? What is it? Is it like the species of alien or?
A rabbit.
What? Wait, weren't they like?
No, they were rabbits.
They're just regular rabbits?
Yeah. That would
get
get injected with some hormone or something.
Oh, okay.
I still think it's Dead Tired, just because Kyle went with trauma, and we've been talking a lot about
we
trauma
have been talking
films.
a lot about trauma, or we were talking about trauma films, so he went and found a trauma film.
God damn it, I don't know.
I don't know either.
They're the genus Lepus.
Oh, it's
All right.
genus of rabbits.
My guess for the fake one is Dead Tired.
I need to discuss this more. Tell me more about.
Do we each get our own picks, or
Yeah.
do we have
You
to...
can get your own picks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last time we agreed. What?
Well, we
tell
don't
me,
always have to agree.
Yeah. I'm saying
Okay.
we don't need to pick the same one.
I'm sticking with
I
Dead
need to
Tired.
know more about these rabbits.
They are wolf-sized, and they use dogs a lot in the movie. They use dogs, and they also use like trick photography, where they have like a model and a very calm-looking rabbit. And then like a very like worried, agitated-looking rabbit.
I was gonna do they just like poke the back of the rabbit so
Yeah.
that it hops forward?
Throw a rock at it.
Is it so? Wait, so it's like dogs in costumes and then just like stock footage of rabbits, kind of
Yeah,
thing?
but they're like on like a small set. Yeah.
Okay, wait. The third one, the trauma one. Here's the important thing. When did they use that one car crash scene that you said trauma used in every single film they
There
made?
isn't a car crash in this one.
What?
It was filmed before Searching Kabuki Man.
Bullshit. Oh.
Searching Kabuki Man was 97.
And this was 93?
4. Yes. This is still in their Toxic Avenger 2 phase.
I still feel like that might be it. Like, I feel like the man transforming into a slug is a little over the top for that.
I feel like that's like such a non-specific. Do they like? Was there a reason for it? Why does he turn into a slug?
Because it's a trauma movie and they just wanted to cover something in slime.
Sure.
Touche.
I mean, in the does it like spontaneously happen? Is there like an accident that sets it off, or is
He's
it
in a
just,
lab. It's like he works in like a genetic like engineering lab.
Okay.
All right. And he's like dicking around with this girl and is just doing like dumb 90s things, like montage style, to, like impress people where he's like juggling shit.
Okay.
He has chemical splash on him. It makes him smarter.
Okay.
So he starts doing like he's like slouchy and like nerdy, but then all of a sudden he like loses his glasses, so he's hot.
So he has like a makeover and then turns into a slug.
Yeah, so it's like the negative side effect of it.
Is it instantly or is it like the
It's over
Fly
time.
style where he like slowly
Fly
turns?
style. So like they're like fucking in bed, and then there's like slime on the sheets in the morning.
Yeah, and she's just like, oh, honey, it's
Was
okay.
it
It
really
happens all the
slime,
time.
though?
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think that one's fake, too.
Well, now I'm not sure.
Oh,
Go
really?
Go back. I don't know.
See, I'm sold on it now.
We haven't touched on the first one, though.
We have Slaughterhouse Rock.
Yeah.
Something about Alcatraz.
I feel like I need some details.
Okay. What do you want to know?
It was...
Can you read it again?
The whole thing. A man visits Alcatraz prison after having dreams about all the people who died there. When he gets there, his brother is possessed by an evil cannibal demon. The ghost of a female heavy metal singer who was killed there tries to help the man fight the monster.
Who...
I don't know about that one now.
When he read it the first time, I was like, that's definitely the fake one. Who directed that?
Some European.
Kyle, that's a lie. You would definitely know who directed it.
I don't. It was like when Italy was just cranking out horror movies in the 80s.
Oh, wait, so is it in Italian?
No.
Oh.
It's filmed with English actors and then subsequently dubbed in English.
What?
What? Like dubbed in American?
Yes.
I feel like that's
Really?
real. I feel like that's a little like over the top.
No, I think it's that one.
All right, final guesses.
All right.
Oh, no.
I'm going to stick with Dead Tired.
I'm also going to go with Dead Tired.
Final answers?
Yeah.
Sure.
It was Dead Tired.
Yeah! We are awesome at this.
We are awesome at this game.
Mike's awesome at this. You're a follower.
I mean,
I had you fooled for a while.
He's not wrong. That's twice in a row that I was confident in my answers. Anyway.
I don't want to give Erin any credit on this podcast.
So those other two are real movies?
They are real movies. And for
you
your information,
really don't know who directed the first one?
I don't know. But for your information, I do own Slaughterhouse Rock on Blu-ray.
Of course you do.
So when you come up with these, do you go to your Blu-ray collection and be like, that one?
Yeah, exclusively. Yeah. Night of the Leap is actually...
You said that in a sarcastic way, but I feel like you do.
I do.
Okay.
Anyway, Night of the Lepus is what?
It's not on Blu-ray yet. It makes me sad.
So
Does it?
Just have the DVD.
Do they actually never say Lepus?
I just legit don't know how to say
Okay.
Lepus. I think they want to call it like Night of the Rabbits.
Yeah.
But like no one's gonna go fucking see Night of the Rabbits, so they're like, what's another word for rabbit?
Yeah.
And they can't say like Night of the Hare.
Because then people will get the wrong idea.
That's just like one of those like health class puberty informational videos. So.
You're Lepus and you.
So like I'm curious, what happens in Slaughterhouse Rock? Does this guy save his brother?
No.
Does his brother eat him?
Does everyone die?
Everyone dies. I mean, he doesn't die.
Oh, does he make it off?
Yeah,
off
he
the
makes it
dress?
up after.
Okay.
Yeah. Everyone else dies.
Like, what prompted the dreams? I'm like, and why would there be a ghost of a female heavy metal person at Alcatraz?
She did some shit.
Mike, because 1988.
You got me there. All right.
Well, I think that's going to do it for tonight. It's 5:01 a.m.
Oh my god.
I'm tired. I'm sure you guys are tired.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
We'll see you later. Hey everyone, if you enjoy listening to the Sleepy Nerds podcast and want to hear more from us, you can follow us on Facebook at Sleepy Nerds Podcast, Instagram and Twitter at Sleepy Nerds Pod, and you can also subscribe to us on YouTube, Podbean, and iTunes.